Welcome back. Today we're talking about three things that you need to be aware of when you're going through a spiritual awakening. I'm Jay Hughes,
And I'm Liquid Heaven.
and I suppose we just get started with this.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So, first of all, like through spiritual awakening, we're specifically talking about, first of all, the three things are one, utilize that energy to learn, two,
Don't be afraid.
and three, be careful who you talk to about your newfound experiences and beliefs. And but before we get started with when I had my like moment, it was a white light moment. It was a night and day difference. Like my life was different. Afterwards, like I went to get gas the next day, and I was like, it was like the first time I'd ever put gas in my car, and like the first person I saw, I was like, oh my god, it's people. It's like a person. Like it was like everything was for the first time in my life. And so when that happens, if you've also had just a completely life changing moment, everything you believe just got flip flopped upside down, then your energy can go through the roof. And when your energy goes through the roof, you might not realize it, but you can actually go manic. Like you can, and it's crazy because you don't notice it at all.
It's just energy out of control, and then you just
but it feels good, and
It feels
you feel
great.
good. You finally feel like you see the world
like you've solved the
like
puzzle.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too is you can tend to think you know everything because you just like experience this moment, but what you don't realize is that many people have actually had their own moments in life where
no
everything
two-
got flipped off,
And no two will be the same. That's the thing.
yeah, nobody's is the same. But and so they'll be like, yeah, like I know this stuff, but you won't like realize that they know this stuff, and they'll be like, seriously, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah,
So
I can't stress enough how no two will be the same though, because having gone through what I've gone through, like my number one dream is to be able to share what I feel and how I'm feeling. Like I wish I could just show people how I feel. I don't even have the words for it because it's just so different. It just feels, woke is like the word. You know what I mean? Like I just,
just conscious.
yeah, exactly.
So number one. What was number one again?
Number one was yours, man.
Oh yes, learn. So yeah, get to learning. When your energy is high like this, when you're up here, you can take in so much information and so powerfully. Take notes when you're learning. Watch YouTube things. Read books. Take notes. I highly suggest you start taking notes. Notes or journaling or whatever your form is, or if it's art, just start doing art. Like whatever it is you're like. But when you take notes as you're learning, you go from 2 weeks afterwards you can remember about 10% of it, even though it's like there you really can only recall about 10% of it. When you take notes on something, it goes to 40%, and if you're engaged with it, if you're talking about it, teaching people about it, that goes all the way up to 80 to 90%. So take notes with all the things you're learning, and it will stick with you more, and take advantage of this phase. I remember for me to go vegan, it was effortless. I was like, I'm just gonna eat me some lettuce leaves and some nuts and some fruit, and I'm good. Like it was crazy, just like that. Like I was like, I'm cool with being vegan, and now that I've decided to go vegan again, it's actually a lot harder since like going back and like coming back down, energy wise, like to like an actual workable place. Because what happens is when this happens, your subconscious is like a thermostat, and you'll hear me say this over and over again. But when you go to make major changes in your life, you have to change that set point, like which is deep rooted down into your subconscious, and there's so much stuff to that set point and so much work to be done to adjust that set point that when you have this white light moment and you go up here, what happens is you go and you go and you go and you go, but then you're going to rubber band, like you're going to be brought back down like a thermostat. AC is going to turn on the air conditioner and you will come back down. But you remember, I had like all these moments and all this amazing experience, and then you start working on yourself and pulling out your subconscious beliefs and brainwash yourself at night when you're sleeping. Let's get on YouTube. If you need to work on self-confidence, if you want to attract relationships, if you want to attract abundance or money, wealth, get on YouTube, find like abundance affirmations while you sleep, or abundance while you sleep, and you'll find these YouTube videos that will play different frequencies of sounds and mixed with different affirmations that are in the background. And you can actually start working on your subconscious while you sleep, because your subconscious is always going when you're awake and when you're asleep. So you can work on reprogramming that at night.
I use theta waves at night. That's what I usually do.
So frequencies, and so that's learning.
Yeah, number 2 was
take advantage of it.
Yeah, do that. Definitely take advantage of it. Learn what you can. Take notes. Number 2 is don't be afraid, because it's just sort of like the equivalent of a bad trip. If you start getting your energy gets too high, don't be afraid of what you're doing. Even though people might look at you funny, they might not understand what you're talking about. You have a purpose, and that's why writing it down will be helpful, because you can kind of read that back and kind of verify for yourself that it makes sense. So that's what I would do.
Cool. Yeah, definitely don't be afraid. Were you afraid?
I've been afraid. Sometimes even like since then, like just, but like the message that I keep getting back from the universe is don't be afraid. Like, don't be afraid.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's good advice. Definitely don't be afraid. I didn't go through like an afraid period, even when my supervisor at work, who was like a good friend, like had me walk to a psychologist, like just to make sure I was sane, because she was like, he's psychotic, because he's changed so much so fast. And they train you at work. They train like your supervisors. It doesn't matter where you work. They're trained on different things, and people making dramatic changes in their life like all at once, those are like major suicide signs. So like that's why people get so concerned. And plus, like, I mean, you're going against everything that they have in their subconscious, reality to be. So you can't like fuck with other people's realities. It just doesn't work that way. They have to come to you inquiring. Oh, that's a good lesson too. So you don't have to teach. You'll find that people will come to you to learn. When a student is ready, a teacher will appear. You will, as you start learning all these things and you start growing, you'll find that you'll be teaching people as well. So as much as you can, don't go running around trying to like change everybody, even though that can be very natural. That you don't want to change people. Let them ask you.
Yeah,
teach with answering questions.
Teaching feels good for sure.
Yeah, but you can't just like force teach. People have to want to learn from you, and they have to ask you questions.
Yeah.
So, and then the third thing was what was the third thing?
I thought that was the third thing.
No, that was just an extra.
Oh.
That was a bonus. You're welcome.
Maybe we call that the third thing.
Yeah, we'll call that the third thing. Let's see. First was learn. Second was don't be afraid.
Yeah.
And third was I suppose it's that. Yeah. Comment below if you learned anything here.
Tell us to take notes.
Yeah. So we say take notes,
and then don't have notes.
Yeah. Take notes. I take lots of notes. I didn't write any notes. So we just kind of like these videos. We just kind of like just spit them out. So they're imperfect, but they're also perfect at the same time. But yeah, that's all for today. You guys have a wonderful time. Any questions, comments, just leave them in the comments and we will answer your questions.
Hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.